This video is going to cover trigonometry. It's going to cover the basics and the tangent ratio. This is level 2, so before you start this one, make sure you've done the algebra basics lesson, the previous one. So watch the video, make sure you are able to do these kind of algebra questions. The first thing we're going to learn in trigonometry is called the tangent ratio. A ratio is comparing two things. And for this particular ratio, we're going to compare the opposite side to the adjacent side. Now, we haven't learned how to label the sides of our triangle yet, so we're going to learn which sides these are. Before we can do that, we have to start with our chosen angle. Now, we can never choose the 90-degree angle. It has to be one of the smaller ones. And in this case, we know this is our chosen angle. We have a little circle or arc there and a 32-degree side. So we're going to use this angle to label it. Now we're going to start with the opposite side. The opposite is going from your chosen angle across to the opposite side. And I'll label this. You can say OPP or opposite. The adjacent is the side that connects these two angles. It's always connecting the chosen angle and the 90-degree angle. It's never the slanted one. So you can abbreviate it ADJ or write adjacent. Now, how this works is, now we can see from this triangle, this side, the opposite side, is shorter than the adjacent side. If I take a ruler, we can see it's definitely longer along the adjacent side. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our calculator and calculate exactly how much. So I'm going to type in tangent 32. Now how this works is up at the top, you have 3 buttons, and the key one right now is the tangent button, right there. And then I'm going to type 32. When I press equals, I get a long number, 6248. Now, we can round this, but we always have to keep 4 decimal places. So I'm going to round this to 0.6249. Now, what this tells me is that this side is 0.6249, whatever the units are, and the adjacent is 1. We're always comparing the two sides. Whatever the calculator gives us, that gives us the exact length of this one compared to the adjacent. And adjacent in this case will always be 1. Before we move on, I want to make sure you know how to use your calculator to find out these answers. So if you have a nicer 2-line calculator, you can see what you're typing. You just type in tan 32 and you have to press the equal sign to get the answer. And you should get the same answer that I've gotten. Now, if you have a 1-line calculator, you have to do it backwards. So this calculator, you start with a number, find the tan button, and it should give you the same answer. So again, if you don't see what you're typing and press equals, you have to go at it backwards. You have to type in the number first and then the ratio button that you want. The ratios are always at the top, and there are always 3 of them, sine, cosine, and tangent. They only put the first 3 letters, so you'll see tan on your calculator. Another problem you might see is, in this case, I've typed in tan 32 and I got close to the same answer, but it's different. So what I want to point out, and I'm going to get this really close, you'll see up here at the top, it has a rad. You might even have just an R. For this to work, we have to be in degree mode. So you'll find a button, it'll have something like this, DRG or DEG, and you're going to keep pressing it until you get it into degree mode. You'll see this when it says DEG or a D at the top of your screen, right up there at the top. So to practice, I want to go over 4 different triangles that I've got here. Each one is slightly different. Now the first one is 10 degrees. We can see it's a small angle. And from this, we can definitely see that it is a small length. So If I put this in, if I type in tan 10 degrees, I get 0.1763, a very small number, and it's obvious that it's a small side. So this side is 0.1763, adjacent is 1. The next one, if we type in tan 30 into our calculator, I always want to have 4 decimals, so I've put 5 here. The 5th decimal, we're going to end up rounding it to 5774. We can see that this is bigger than that one, and definitely the side is much bigger. And as always, the adjacent is always 1 in this example. Tan 45, if we plug this in, we get a 1, which makes sense. 45 degrees, this must be 45 degrees as well, which means the sides are identical, 1 and 1. And if we go up to 70, we can see it's getting much bigger. We type this in, and if we type in tan 70, we get 2.74747. 5th decimal is larger than 5. I'm going to round to 2.7475, always 4 decimal places. So we can see, obviously, this is much longer. It is 2.7 times bigger. And the adjacent is always 1. So I want you to try that on your own calculator. Make sure you're getting the same answers that I'm getting. If not, check the degree mode. Make sure you're in degrees, and make sure you're using the tan button correctly.